Sid, let's start with you and Antoine Griezmann. Marca say that Barca are calling off their interest.
Well, Barcelona are concerned about the response from some of the players who are not that convinced by the idea, but I would be reluctant to rule this out at this point. I think we know that Barcelona had a deal in place with him last year. We know that Griezmann wanted Barcelona to put that deal back in place this year, and we know that there was a willingness to do that. What we don't know is if it's signed and done. But of course, I think intuitively at least, it doesn't make a lot of sense for Griezmann to publicly say, I'm going to go, if he doesn't have his destination sorted out, which is not, by the way, to guarantee that it's Barcelona.
Yeah, on that point, what happens if it's not Barcelona and he's just left in this weird limbo?
Well, because he won't be.
Right.
Someone somewhere is going to pay that money, and someone somewhere will come to an agreement with it. And I suppose, in the very worst case scenario, maybe he can go back to Atletico and say, you know that thing about leaving, can I hang around for a bit longer? I mean, he did last year.
Is Neymar coming back?
Well, this is a curious one, and given the choice between these two players, the dressing room heavyweights, fundamentally Luis Suarez and Messi, would take Neymar ahead of Griezmann. There's no two ways about that. Now, the board of directors know that this is a far more difficult deal to do. Let's not forget that Griezmann can be bought. Why? Because his buyout clause is 120 million euros from the 1st of July. And by the way, I think we may have to wait for the 1st of July for this to happen. Neymar will cost a lot more than that, unless Paris Saint-Germain are put in a position where they're forced to sell. I'm not sure I see the mechanisms by which this can be made to happen. That's not to say there isn't interest, because there is, but I just don't see the mechanism to make it happen.
If Julian was here, Gabby goes, no way PSG would sell him.
No, I mean, it would have to be something where Neymar forces a move, where Paris Saint-Germain comes out and maybe because of financial fair play restrictions, they're in a position where they're forced to sell. But the reality is, Neymar also got a huge pay rise when he went to PSG, and he cost so much money. And if he comes back, not only are you not getting Griezmann, you're also not getting help at the back either, which is another issue, another player that obviously that they've been linked with a lot, Matthijs de Ligt.
Now, it's all interlinks, obviously, but then what about the future of Coutinho?
Well, look, Coutinho, in a way, his situation is slightly clearer than those other two, which is that this is a player that Barcelona recognise hasn't succeeded, a player that they believe that they could get good money for and therefore help to finance deals for other players. But, of course, there's a difference between believing you can get a good deal for a player and then actually finding the club that will do this. And certainly, you've paid close to 150 million euros for Coutinho. Once all the objectives have been put into place, you're not going to find someone who pays that kind of money for him now. Now, obviously, you then can decide, do we take a hit? How much of a hit? Is losing his wages from our budget a good thing as well? The answer, of course, there is yes. But I think it's harder to make this happen than they think. But Barcelona right now, if someone comes in and says, we'll take him off your hands and we'll pay a huge fee, they say yes in a heartbeat.
What about Valverde? What was the defining factor as to why they kept him? Because 24 hours before, everyone was reporting he was gone.
Well, I mean, first of all, one of the reasons that they reported he's gone was because one of the Catalan media went with this story so strongly, so clearly that everybody else kind of thought, right, okay, so if we're going this powerfully, there must be something in this. Now, obviously, there are a couple of things to point out here. One is that you have a board of directors with different opinions, upon which there are a number of directors who wanted him gone and probably believe they could make that happen. But the bottom line is you come to a president who pre-Copa del Rey final has said, I'm not selling him, who would look, letting him go, who would look incredibly foolish now if it happens immediately. Bear in mind, it's very early in the summer.
Yeah.
I'm not ruling out another twist here. And so right now has to stick with him. And then there's someone else in all of this who's very, very important. Leo Messi.
Of course. Meanwhile, here in Madrid, the big story today, a press conference called for Sergio Ramos. You were going to go to the press conference, Gab. Basically, they said, you don't have accreditation, you can't go. And Gab said, Gab Marcotti is my accreditation.
Yeah, this is my accreditation.
And did they let you in?
Of course.
No, they didn't. This is weird. This is what a weird thing. 45-minute press conference to tell you that nothing's happening.
Well, to tell you that he's staying, but I think it was necessary after Florentino Perez coming out and effectively saying, look, Sergio Ramos came to me and said, hey, look, I want to go to China, and I want to go for free because with the new rules that they have in China, it's difficult for them to go and pay a big fee. And effectively, Sergio Ramos came out and said, look, I may go to China one day. If I leave Real Madrid, it's not going to be for a rival team. So for the time being, though, I'm staying. Effectively kind of contradicting or having a very different recollection
Completely
from what Florentino said.
I mean, it was extraordinary because, you know, some of these other things we're talking about, there are elements that escape us. There are elements that we don't know about. This is clear cut, and it was extraordinary today listening to Sergio Ramos, who, by the way, these stories first filtered out in Ramos's absence. He wasn't in Spain, he was away. This filters out while he's away. Now, obviously, he's got a mobile phone. I'm sure he was aware of these things. He comes back to encounter this situation in which the two filtered stories are then followed by the president publicly saying, Ramos came to me and I said, you can't go for free. Notice that, for free.
Yep.
He didn't say you can't go. You can't go for free. This had come from the presidential side of things. Ramos comes back and says, I don't know where these stories come from. I don't know where these rumours come from. Well, Sergio, I'll tell you what, have a listen to the recording of your president on the radio. This isn't a rumour. Or if it is a rumour, it's a rumour publicly said by your president. And by the way, I am not at all ruling out the possibility that quite a lot of this has been overplayed and that quite a lot of this has been shall we say, manipulated, and Ramos has encountered this situation and has decided, I've got to say something, partly, of course, because he didn't get that move that potentially was there.
Meanwhile, Gab, in Italy, Spalletti out, no surprises there. Antonio Conte, heavily linked to the job. However, there's a caveat. He's saying if he takes over, he wants Icardi out.
To a point, basically what he's come out, what has emerged, and he hasn't signed yet. He could be signing on Friday, could eventually be delayed till Monday. He says part of his plans are, you know, he wants a defender, that's going to be Godin. He wants a midfielder. He'd love to have Barella. He wants a striker, and it could be Lukaku or Dzeko. But that means Icardi gone. And the wild card here is Mauro Icardi's already let it be known. No. I'm staying. Yep. I love Inter. I'm Inter through and through. I have so much confidence, and I'm such a great guy. I'm sure that I can convince Antonio Conte, if he does come, to keep me and play me, because that's how attached I am to the club.
Sticking with Italy, Sarri and the rumours of him going to Juventus just won't go away. Where's he going to be at the start of next season, Chelsea or Juve?
I have no idea, because this story has yet to be written. What we do know is obviously Juventus. We saw Andrea Agnelli meeting with Bruce Buck in Baku. Fali Ramadani, who's the agent, the intermediary who's dealing with this, he's flown to London. He hopes to meet with Chelsea. Chelsea, I think, have made it pretty clear that they're not going to sack Maurizio Sarri, contrary to what people thought. And if they do want him, he has to resign, and they want compensation as well. So this could be a bit of a power play here. I wonder, and this is just a hunch, I wonder if maybe Sarri isn't a bit of a plan B, and Juventus have somebody else in mind who could be their plan A, who they think it's going to be really difficult to get him, but maybe they're going to take a run at him, have Sarri on standby. Then if Sarri becomes too expensive, move to plan C, who would probably be somebody like Simone Inzaghi.
For more, sign up now for ESPN Plus.